Hello and welcome to part 4 of To Be a Person to Have a Name by Kirabasai. Don't mind my voice, I am sick, but I was bored and decided to work on this because, yeah. Anyway, if you haven't seen the other parts, do so, or else you will not understand anything going on. I've also figured out how to put things in a playlist in order. So that's great. Yeah. I'm also going. I put a poll up for. Yeah, I made a post on the channel of which is going to be next, the continuation, like part 5 or something, of To Be a Person to Have a Name, or should I go into my archive of To Be Podfict, which is going to be something Legend of Zelda, because it's like my favorite game of all time. But yes, I have gotten permission from people before I post stuff, such as this one currently. But welcome to part 4 of To Be a Person to Have a Name. Sorry I'm repeating. But let's get into it. Oh, it's too bad Malleus is not here. Lilia sighs as he, Yumiko, Silver, and Sebek dig into the Mostro Lounge takeout. I can go retrieve him if you wish, Lilia-sama, Sebek exclaims, already halfway out of his chair. Lilia waves him off. Why, Sebek, are you truly going to abandon your new friend so soon? Lilia asks, and Sebek makes a complicated face as he sits back down. Silver appears unbothered. That reminds me, Yumiko says as she swallows her previous bite. You never said you were Diasomnia's vice dorm leader, Lilia-senpai. Oh? Did I not? I supposed it was obvious, the third year muses. Sebek makes another complicated expression. Lilia-senpai has a habit of doing stuff like that. Don't let him bully you. Silver tells her seriously. Lilia makes a dramatic gasp, while Sebek's expression contorts into something even more complicated. Silver! I would never bully a sweet, innocent first year as cute as you-kun, Lilia insists. Yumiko is unsure about innocent, considering she's about 60% sure if Lilia killed man, she would not bat an eye. She still nods along to what he says. Silver-senpai, how come you called Lilia-senpai father yesterday? Yumiko asks, right as Sebek takes a sip from his water. The boy chokes. Lilia hides his mouth behind his sleeve. Silver blinks. Silver! How could you be so reckless as to expose Lilia-sama's cover? That was way too loud. I'm sorry. But Sebek whisper shouts at him from the opposite side of the table. Silver blinks again, looking between the three other occupants. Didn't you just confirm it? Yumiko blinks at Sebek. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, because even though I'm curious, it's not really my business, but... She trails off. Silver sighs. Sebek blanches. Lilia-sama, I apologize for my actions, he exclaims, bowing his head. Lilia simply laughs. It's all right. I'm quite sure Yu-kun would have stumbled upon the truth regardless, considering his reading habits. Lilia snickers, patting both Sebek and Silver's head. I won't tell anyone, if that's what you're worried about. Yumiko blinks, looking at Silver. He blinks back. Right. Oh, Silver was such a cute baby, Lilia sighs. I have all his baby pictures saved on my phone. I'm sure that won't be necessary, Father. Silver cuts in before Lilia can go anywhere with that. Yumiko blinks. There's a lot of blanks in this section. Okay, then. Alright, then. Lilia is a dad. Yes, he is. Yumiko He isn't really sure what that entails, beyond being somebody's guardian and taking care of them as children, but she isn't about to admit that over dinner when she's a guest. Wait, so is Lilia-senpai actually not bad at cooking, or did Silver-senpai start trying to manage for himself when he was younger? Yumiko asks, the thought suddenly occurring to her. Silver winces, which Yumiko takes as an answer in of itself. Sebek is looking at her horrified. You knew, he accuses, pointing a finger at her face. You were in on it! Yumiko blinks while Lilia snickers. Of course I knew, Yumiko says, giving Sebek a strange look. I'm not dumb. I've known his cooking is supposedly bad since yesterday. Sebek makes a strangled noise. Why would you willingly go along with something you know is bad? He exclaims, looking at her with a mix of shock and horror. I already said my curiosity gets the better of me sometimes the first time we met, she reminds, looking between the two of them. Do you have no sense of self-preservation? Silver sincerely asks, blinking at her in befuddlement. How to respond? I mean, I'm pretty sure if I could survive whatever left me with zero magical energy, no memories, and no surname, I'm pretty sure I can survive a singular night of bad cooking to satisfy my curiosity, Yumiko neutrally says. At this point, she has accepted that hanging out with Lilia, though it hasn't been much, is a bad influence on her. Yumiko sips her water as Sebek and Silver stare at her. Anyways, she starts, what's this Mostro lounge you got the food from, Silver-senpai? Lilia cracks up. You are a horrible influence, Silver sincerely tells his father, once it becomes very clear that was something getting zero elaboration on any front. Lilia simply pats his head. Maybe the head pats are a dad thing. He wasn't like this at all when you first met him. To be fair, Yumiko offers, I am completely aware he is a bad influence by now, and that my current circumstances have made me somewhat impressionable. I just don't care. Sebek has gone back to making complicated expressions as he eats. Also, I wouldn't say he's a total bad influence. He showed me how to properly do my tie. She tacks on. Sebek grimaces. Silver blinks. He looks at Lilia, then back at Yumiko. He then sighs. There's a part of Yumiko that wants to know what's going on in their heads. But that isn't to be. Aren't you just sweet to defend me like that? Lilia snickers, patting Yumiko's head. Yumiko decides to eat some more of her food instead of responding. Silver and Sebek seem to decide this is a wise course of action to take as well. Yukun, Lilia addresses her once they're all almost done with their food. Do you have a curfew? Yumiko blinks up at him. No. Head mage never told me about one, and I never made one, she shrugs. In which case, Lilia claps, how about you watch Sebek and Silver train? Silver blinks, as does Sebek. And Yumiko. Is that really okay? I wouldn't want to impose, she asks, eyeing Sebek in the corner of her eye. He seems torn between his respect of Lilia and dislike of Yumiko. Father, Silver says. Oh, it's fine. It would not be the first time others have watched you two, Lilia waves off. Besides, are you not curious, Yukun? Lilia is... Oh my gosh. Lilia is right. She is curious. This is like waving bait directly in front of a fish. You're really unfair sometimes, Lilia-senpai, Yumiko tells him, instead of directly agreeing or disagreeing. Lilia seems to take amusement in this. Oh, perfect. Lilia beams. Yumiko wonders if she truly has as much control as she thinks she does. Probably not. As it turns out, evening training is swordsmanship training. Except instead of swords, they're using batons. Why batons and not wooden swords, though? Yumiko can't help but ask Lilia, as they light the lanterns outside to illuminate the sparring ground. She can understand not using real swords, since weapons are prohibited on campus, but... For one, wooden swords weigh nothing like actual swords. Lilia explains. They are good for beginning to train, but for people with more experience, like Sebek and Silver, it would be detrimental for long-term training. Oh, so it's a balance issue? She clarifies. And material, Silver adds, walking up behind them. The batons are more durable. Father, Sebek and I have finished warming up. As Lilia and Silver converse with each other, Yumiko eyes Sebek walking up to them just behind Silver. Yeah, she can see how a wooden sword would break during training with muscles like that. Are you not bothered by the cold? Lilia asks her as they settle on the worn grass. Sebek and Silver taking up starting positions in the center of lantern-lit space. Lilia isn't wrong that the evening air of early October has a bit of a bite to it, especially in Diasomnia. But somehow, despite the space not being real, the void of her dreams is much colder. No, Yumiko shakes her head. I'm fine. For now, at least. Lilia gives the two boys a start signal. Is that so? He mutters, right as batons clash. They sound much more heavy than expected. Sorry, what was that? Yumiko tilts her head. Ah, it's nothing. Lilia waves off, setting his focus on the ongoing spar. If you say so, Lilia-senpai, Yumiko says, deciding to do the same. Yumiko can't help but think Silver and Sebek's training was mesmerizing to watch. As she's walking to leave Diasomnia, she voices as much to Lilia, who had insisted on walking her back to Ramshackle. You would not be the first to describe it as such, Lilia bemusedly responds. Maybe I should read that modern swordsmanship book next, Yumiko mutters, musing to herself. Lilia chuckles and pats her head. I'm quite sure that little head of yours will be brimming with new knowledge the next time we see each other, he sincerely says, much to Yumiko's embarrassment. Truth be told, Yumiko admits as they cross the threshold of the mirror portal, I would have probably stopped by the library instead of returning to Ramshackle if you weren't walking me back. Lilia clicks his tongue in discontent. Now that just won't do, he chides. You are a young, growing human. You need all the rest you can, else you would end up short like me. Yumiko is pretty sure Lilia's height is more of a result of genetics and face subspecies, but she won't say that. Look at Silver, the Fae continues. He sleeps a lot and is a healthy 176.23 centimeters. For U.S. standards, he's apparently about 5'7". And growing. Last week, he was a merely 176.21 centimeters. It's still about 5'7", but it's 0.8 something. So, yeah. He's honestly not as tall as I thought he was. Okay, back to the story. Were the Fae anybody else, Yumiko might have been concerned he knew the second year's height to the hundredths. Instead, she chalks this knowledge up as a parent thing. I'm only 15, she weakly protests. I still have time to grow. Truly, Lilia blinks at her. I suspected you were 14. Does she truly have that much of a baby face? Regardless, she shakes her head. No, I turned 16 on December 27th, she tells him, the knowledge rising out of the bog that is her past. Is that so? He says. I don't suppose you know what you will be doing for winter break. Honestly, I've been avoiding thinking about that for now. Yumiko winces. It'll just give me anxiety. I think I'll focus on that after the semester finals. Lilia hums noncommittedly. That is reasonable. You already have an undue amount on your plate due to your current circumstances, he responds. Something about his reaffirming of what she's going through loosens something in her chest, and she grins at him. At least the classwork is coming easy, she comments. Though I'm sure that will change after we start practical magic and have to rely on Grimm. Were you not researching old rune magic so you could utilize it? Lilia tilts his head at her. The tips of her ears burn. I guess it would be obvious to you, she admits, but I don't think I would use it for class. That wouldn't be fair for Grimm. We're a 2-in-1 student for a reason, you know. Ah, I see, Lilia says, a small smile spreading across his face. I do suppose there's also the urge to keep a low profile in light of such an innovation. That too, yeah. The wrong knowledge in the wrong hands can cause unspeakable harm, Yumiko replies, her limbs itching uncomfortably, with foreign yet familiar phantom sensations. She quickly ignores the vow? I don't know what that says. Okay. I'm going to pretend it says novel because I do not know what it says. I'm sorry. Okay, Google. Wonderful thing. It's apparently nouveau. French is weird. She quickly ignores the nouveau feeling, deciding her curiosity can tackle investigating that at a later time. I've been meaning to ask, but would you like to help me with experimenting? I'm not sure when I will start, but I would be delighted to. Lilia responds with a grin, sharp fangs glinting in the moonlight. Yumiko finds herself grinning back, excitement flooding her body. She now has a new, indefinite pretense to hang out with Lilia, now that her hair has been colored. Though, just like that, Yumiko is under the impression that most things have a price when dealing with Fae. At least, from what she's read. This is not an exchange, but rather an invitation, dear, Lilia explains with a chuckle, somehow catching on to what she was thinking. Yumiko forms an O with her mouth as he pats her head. I see. I guess it would be quite a stretch to learn of more nuanced stuff from books, she muses. It's a good thing you know me, then. Lilia ambiguously responds. Does he mean he will teach her nuances, or something else entirely? Yumiko recognizes she won't get any answers tonight, and thus won't dwell on it for now. I've changed in demeanor since I've started hanging out with you, but I don't mind, Yumiko ends up saying, instead of questioning what he truly meant. Ah, yes, my bad influence on you, if we were to use Silver's words. Lilia snickers. I will admit I was quite surprised when you started to mess with Sebek. Why, one could say I even felt proud. Something fizzly and warm settles in Yumiko's chest, a silly wide-toothed grin threatening to break onto her face. Instead, she coughs into her hands. Somehow, she feels as though Lilia knows what she's experiencing regardless. It's a shame we couldn't get him into your uniform today, Yumiko says instead, thinking back on their earlier conversation, before they had even colored her hair. Maybe at Halloween. It may be easier than that, Lilia conspiratorially replies, catching on to what she meant by suggesting Halloween. Sebek has an unfortunate habit of taking many of the things I say at face value. Is that why Silver-senpai warned me about bullying? Yumiko dryly asks, the corner of her lip twitching upwards. You take advantage of Sebek-san's admiration of you. I prefer the term tough love. He is bound to learn his lesson one of these years. Lilia answers. Yumiko finds it interesting how he says one of these years instead of one of these days. The Fae truly do operate on a separate timescale, so vastly different that a third-year Fae is actually the father of a human second year. Though Yumiko gets the feeling that Lilia is something of a unique case. Something has been bothering me since dinner, Yumiko admits after a brief lull in their conversation, her train of thought bringing it back to the front of her mind. Oh? Whatever could that be? Lilia inquires, a glint entering his eyes. She hesitates a moment, knowing that asking a question like this would suggest her lack of knowledge, following losing her memories, or perhaps even more, runs deeper than what's believed. But she really does not want to spend some of her precious time in the library researching something so trivial. What exactly does a father do, or being a father mean? Yumiko blurts, the words bubbling out before she can arrange them in a more cohesive question. I know being a father means you're a parent, and being a parent means you're someone's legal guardian, and take care of them as they grow up, but how is that any different from taking care of children in an orphanage, or even being a nanny or teacher? Lilia is silent for a few moments, but Yumiko feels her cheeks burn not from the cold, but rather embarrassment. She considers taking back the question. When? The first thing that sets the bond between a parent and child apart from anything else is the bond of family, familial love. Lilia replies after a moment, voice unusually serious. The concept may seem foreign to those who have never experienced it, but that kind of love is something unconditional. It is a promise, taking care and guiding the children, but also trusting that they will be all right as they grow, loving them, even if they don't love you. Familial love has many other nuances, but I think those are the broad strokes of parental love. A promise, huh? Yumiko wonders aloud. Did she ever have someone like that? It doesn't ring any bells for her. But that surely doesn't mean there is nobody, right? It's okay if you do not understand, Lilia adds, patting her head. I once knew a fae who lived some 100 years before he understood the concept. Yumiko hums in acknowledgement, mentally setting her newfound knowledge aside. I appreciate that you always answer my questions, Lilia-senpai, even if they are a bit weird at times. Yumiko thanks. I could never fault a young one's thirst for knowledge. Curiosity such as yours is a rare gem. Never think of it as anything but a gift, Lilia tells her in response. Even if it gets me in trouble? Trouble? Yumiko asks, tilting her head. Even if it gets you in trouble, Lilia chuckles. I believe we've arrived at Ramshackle. Yumiko blinks, looking around. They are, in fact, at Ramshackle, or at least the fenced gate. Yumiko pushes it open with her foot to Lilia's intrigue. Is there no latch or key? He asks, dead leaves crunching beneath their feet as they approach the front door. Yumiko shakes her head. Technically there is, but it's so old it opens regardless. The front door is the same. Thankfully, the haunted look and the ghosts are good enough deterrent for most, she explains. Would you like me to whip you up a quick drink inside before you go? Is that so? Lilia neutrally hums, discreetly eyeing what he can see of the inside through the now open door. I appreciate the offer, but I have a couple errands to get to before I turn in for the night. All right, Yumiko nods. I'm grateful you came all this way to drop me off, Lilia-senpai. Lilia laughs, patting Yumiko's head. Nonsense. I couldn't very well just let a guest return to the dorm when it's this dark and at such a late hour. Not only that, but a young lady. Yumiko splutters, eyes wide with surprise. You knew? Sweet dreams, Yukun. I'm sure we shall see each other soon. Lilia bids farewell with a knowing grin instead of answering, disappearing into the night. Yumiko is left staring where he was, a breeze fluttering against her banks. He definitely just bullied me, Yumiko decides, remembering that Silver warned her about this. Yumiko stares, stupefied at the array of decorations adorning Ramshackle's lawn. Where did these come from? Grim had wanted to rush back to the dorm after PE for a nice long bath, because the other day the hot water had started working out of nowhere. Now these decorations have appeared out of nowhere. Grim is screaming about the largest one there, a long red something. It isn't quite fully assembled yet. "Oh, you've returned," a familiar voice says right from next to them. Yumiko slightly jumps as Grim screams about another monster. But Yumiko knows it isn't a monster. It's Lilia Van Rouge. "Hi, Lilia-senpai," Yumiko greets with a wave after getting over her initial surprise. She isn't sure whether the surprise was more from his appearance or Grim's scream, though. It's been a few days since she last saw him, and she absentmindedly plays with a strand of her hair as she realizes this. "My, what beautiful reactions!" Lilia snickers at them, probably mostly at Grim. "You returned home earlier than I believed." Grim wanted to treat himself to a warm bath, because we just came from PE since our hot water is working now. Yumiko explains. Now that she mentions it, Lilia does seem to be in his own PE uniform right now. You're that upside-down diasomnia guy. The one my henchman abandoned lunch for," Grim exclaims as he points at Lilia, referring to the first time they met. "That is correct," Lilia bemusedly replies. "The mysterious, youthful beauty, Lilia Van Rouge, at your service." Yumiko has to stifle a giggle. "What are you even doing here? To steal my henchman? Wait, this isn't the time to chat. We gotta run from that monster," Grim exclaims. "Chill out, Grim. It's just a prop," Yumiko soothes. Picking her companion up, he squirms a bit before resigning himself to his fate. "Indeed, that is simply a replica," Lilia confirms. Yumiko wonders what Lilia has to do with all of this. As Lilia explains the structure of the prop to Grim, she looks around. There is a good portion of Diasomnia students outside Ramshackle discussing various things between each other. She turns her focus back to Grim and Lilia, as Lilia encourages the students to go wild. She wonders. "Is this for Halloween?" Yumiko asks, tilting her head. "Indeed, the head mage gave Diasomnia approval to use the grounds outside Ramshackle for our exhibit." Lilia inclines his head in confirmation, though his eyes have a curious gleam. Yumiko suspects he may have been under the impression Crowley had asked her, the dorm's prefect, first. That dirty little crow-face," Grim exclaims, squirming in Yumiko's arms once again. "He always does whatever he wants." Lilia looks quite amused at the nickname Crowface. Personally, Yumiko doesn't mind what's happening here, because it seems like they're only using the outside space. "I would like to spend Halloween at Ramshackle Dorm," is what Malleus told me. He was quite insistent about it, actually. Lilia relays. "Are you not glad? Such a decorating feat would have been impossible for the two of you alone. There's no need for thanks. Halloween is a time to enjoy with everyone." Yumiko privately agrees that she and Grim could never do anything like this. It's free decorations, labor included. Grim, however, seems to have a lot of opinions about this. Before he can make his opinions known, however, the ghosts decide to put in their own 2 cents. Diasomnia is certainly not holding back. The round ghost snickers, startling Grim, who ends up jumping out of Yumiko's arms. Yumiko watches Grim with a curious expression, not paying attention to the conversation between Lilia and the ghosts. He looks annoyed about what's going on, which is fair, but... Oh. Yumiko can't help but also be shocked when Grim admits he has no clue what Halloween is. Ever since Lilia has explained what Halloween was to Grim, the monster has been redirecting any questions about the holiday to Yumiko rather than the 3rd year, despite the 3rd year more often than not being on their lawn out supervising the setup of Diasomnia's Halloween exhibit. Between reading books about the holiday, of which she now knows far more than is practical, and conversing with Lilia in her spare time, alongside schoolwork and friends, she hasn't had much time for her own personal research across many topics. That is to say, she never gets the chance to read Oneiromancy, The Significance of Dreams, until a few days before Halloween week is set to start. Finishing the book pretty much confirms what Yumiko already knew. Her dreams are definitely not normal. It also leaves Yumiko with various questions, the most pressing one not being why her dreams are like that, but rather what kind of dream she is experiencing. The questions lead the back of her mind to the memories of when she visited Diasomnia to dye her hair. Lilia had recommended she speak to Silver if she was experiencing something dream-related. Yumiko isn't very familiar with Silver, and unsure to say if she trusts him, but she does trust Lilia, to an unknown extent. It's with this mindset that Yumiko patiently waits for the Equestrian Club meeting to end, having heard from Riddle that Silver is a member. Sebek is also a member, apparently, and continues to look at her suspiciously every once in a while. Yumiko gets the feeling Sebek strongly dislikes her, but isn't sure how to treat her, given how she gets along with Lilia. Regardless, Yumiko doesn't let her yearmate's scrutiny get in the way of her goal. As soon as Silver's horse is secured to her stable stall, and Silver appears to have no other apparent tasks, Yumiko descends. "Hi, Silver-senpai," Yumiko greets as Silver picks up his bag. Silver looks up at her, face as composed as always. "Hello, Prefect," he grants in turn, inclining his head. "Can I help you with something?" "Yes, actually," Yumiko nods, very much aware she is on a time crunch if she wants to avoid Sebek interrogating her. "Can we talk somewhere private, where nobody can hear or interrupt us?" Silver blinks down at her, considering. If he's 5'7", how short is Yumiko in this? What? Okay, whatever. Sorry. "I was just about to head to Diasomnia. We can talk in my room," Silver says after a moment. Yumiko is half sure that it is a lie, because most days she's seen Sebek and Silver also helping set up Diasomnia's exhibit outside Ramshackle. She won't call attention to it, though. The location favors Silver, who does not know what she wants to talk about. "That's fine. I assume your roommate is out?" Yumiko asks as they leave the stables. She sees Sebek out of the corner of her eye in the process of returning his own horse. He scowls at her. Yumiko slightly speeds up her pace, which Silver, thankfully, does not question. Yes, he should be occupied with Halloween preparations for a few hours at least. Would I be correct in assuming you also want to avoid Sebek for this? Silver asks, surprising Yumiko with his shrewd observation. Then again, Lilia raised him, so maybe it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. "Yeah, Sebek-san isn't my biggest fan," Yumiko nods. Silver considers this for a moment, and nods in turn. "Is your stamina okay?" he asks. "I would say it is. Why?" If we run fast enough, he won't know where we've gone once he finishes his cleanup," Silver answers, barely giving Yumiko any time to process before. "Follow me," Silver says, running off. Yumiko quickly follows, swallowing her shout of surprise. Silver's room is a far cry from Lilia's. His decoration is more sparse, though he does have the occasional odd knick-knack. Most notably are the bags of bird feed and various clocks. Does he have a bad perception of time, maybe? Some birds occasionally visit me, so I may have to open the window at some point, Silver notifies as he locks the door behind him with a click. "That's all right," Yumiko nods. "I'm the one imposing after all." Silver nods back. What did he want to talk about? Yumiko only just now realizes how complicated a topic she's trying to broach, and she isn't sure how to word her questions, so she decides to open up with something more general. "Lilia Senpai said a while back that if I should talk to you if one of the issues I'm having is related to dreams," she tells him, pulling Oneiromancy, The Significance of Dreams, out of her bag. "Do you recall when we had dinner together and I mentioned how something left me with 0 magical energy in order to mess with you guys?" "I do recall that, yes. I called my father a terrible influence for it." Silver responds with a nod. flipping through the book's pages. She isn't sure if it is a book he's read before. I think the loss of magical energy has had a side effect on my dreams, Yumiko admits. Dreams are made by the consciousness, not magical energy, Silver says, looking up at her. If you aren't dreaming, it could be due to a number of other reasons. Yumiko shakes her head. It isn't that I'm not dreaming, she corrects. It's that I dream every time I go to sleep. The same dream? Silver questions. Yumiko makes a so-so gesture and elaborates. Every single one of my dreams, I am completely lucid. The issue is, I'm not sure you can call them dreams. It's a dark void of infinite nothing that I can tell is missing something. Empty. And every time, it's as though the space is waiting for me to do something. There have been some times, though not recently, where I have felt ambient magic had creeped in, and the space became images of the past, present, and future, all at once. It always felt like a cheap knockoff of something whenever I experienced those times, though. She explains, trying to simplify the experience as much as possible to be concise. Aside from those times, it never changed into anything else. Silver clarifies. Yeah, Yumiko nods. From the time I'm asleep until I wake up, it's the empty void. Since I'm always lucid, I've started getting into the habit of doing whatever. But I'm not satisfied with simply coping with the issue. Have you tried influencing or interacting with the space? Yes. Normally, if you're in a lucid dream, you can manipulate it however you want, since it's your own conscious, right? I haven't been able to do that. It's part of why I think the space originates from magical energy rather than my conscience. Yumiko answers. I haven't spoken aloud in it yet, though. I'm not sure if that will trigger anything, and to be honest, messing around with that doesn't seem like the best idea since I'm alone in there. It's possible its origin is a mix of conscience and magical energy. It wouldn't be the first time magical energy has influenced the dream space, as I'm sure you know if you've read this, Silver muses, handing her back the book. To be honest, I haven't heard of, or encountered, anything like what you're experiencing before, so I cannot give you any answers. I apologize. I see. Yumiko replies, wilting. I kind of expected that, considering how strange it is. I do appreciate the secondary opinion, though. I don't have any of my own books on dreams with me right now, but I'm sure the library has plenty on the topic. On the other hand... Silver trails off, bringing a hand to his chin. Yes? I may be able to visit the space you speak of, though it isn't definitive. I could possibly investigate it from the lens of somebody with magic, if you allow it. Silver offers with a slight tilt of his head. The offer sounds enticing, but this is a man who is raised by Fae. What's the catch? Yumiko asks, somewhat wary. A corner of his lip twitches upward. She could not say if that is a good or bad thing. Befriend Sebek, Silver answers. Yumiko stares. You do know he hates me, right? She asks. Is that so? Silver blinks. Well, try your best. Yumiko feels as though this is doomed to fail, but rehashes the two sides anyway. So, I befriend Sebek and you try to investigate my dream? That's correct, Silver responds. Yumiko sighs. All right, I'll do it.